Research shows students tend to be pretty poor note takers. What can instructors do to help students improve their note taking? This first tip is to provide students with importance and organizational cues during a lesson. Importance cues help your students identify ideas that are particularly important. And organizational or structure cues help your students identify the organizing structure of the lesson, which then supports students' ability to make sense of the ideas presented within the lesson. Looking to importance cues first, you can write key concepts and ideas on the board or display them on presentation slides. Research shows doing this makes it more likely students will capture that information in their notes. Also, consider launching each part of a lesson with a to be answered pre-question, a question that students should be able to answer after going through that part of the lesson. And also, be explicit with what is important. Go ahead and say, "This is important." Write it down in your notes, put a star by it. Next, consider organizational or structure cues. An easy way to give students a sense of the organization of a lesson is to do it up front by providing a lesson outline or an agenda. Also, use signpost language, which is about verbally indicating where in the lesson's organization you are currently at, such as, "We've just defined concept A and looked at some examples. Let's now do this for concept B." Or, "Finally, let's take a look at this third major element of today's topic." This can also be done visually if the lesson includes presentation slides. Headings and layout can be used to indicate the organization of the lesson as well as where you are at a given point. On this slide here, for example, you can easily understand that there are two types of cues I want to talk about simply because I have organized them in two side-by-side areas on the slide. So it can be helpful for students to take some time at the end of a lesson to complete their notes and add some revision. Instructors can make it a point to leave some time at the end of a lesson for students to do this. A study by Luo and colleagues did find, though, that offering students pauses throughout a lesson was more effective than giving that same amount of time at the end. So, you may want to consider incorporating pauses throughout a lesson to give students an opportunity to improve the notes they are taking. Plus, pausing like that gives students a chance to figure out what questions they might have. Finally, consider providing recordings of lessons to students. If you are teaching an in person lesson, consider recording it and sharing the recording with students. Alternatively, if you use presentation slides, after a lesson is over, you can do a screen recording of your presentation slides as you narrate them, and you can then share that recording with your students. Keep in mind that the resulting recording is likely to only be a fraction of the length that a synchronously delivered lesson would be, since you won't be pausing to answer questions, do activities, or other things that tend to add time to a class session. Sharing recordings of lessons helps to circumnavigate some of the issues students face when taking notes, such as the speed of a lesson. Students can usually control the playback speed of videos, unlike a live presentation. Students can rewind parts of the lesson that may have confused them. And having access to recordings means that students can revisit a lesson at a later time, getting a second exposure to the material, which research shows helps students make their notes more complete.